It's match day. European football is back and could be coming to an end tonight at the London Stadium as we take on Freiburg. A goal down. Gonzo, we've already done the match preview. However, in regards to David Moyes' contract, and I know people get sick of us talking about it, but the reality is there's only 2 months of the season left and we don't know. We do not know what is happening. So it's the biggest topic at West Ham, has been for a while, and it will be until we know what is happening regarding the manager's contract. This game, though, I think is crucial. If he wants that new deal, if he wants it, I think we need to progress in the Europa League. I think if we go out tonight, I think the chances of him getting that new contract, whether it be next month or at the end of the season, whatever, I think decrease quite drastically and heaps a lot of pressure on where he finishes in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think it is an important game. I think there was no glory in the comeback against Burnley. I think it was, I can never say how it would be viewed by the club, but it wasn't impressive. I think it's very much the case that you look at that and think we never should have got ourselves into that situation. And it was a firefighting act. You know, it was a man chucking buckets of water on a fire rather than anything particularly impressive there. So I think whilst it wasn't a loss and it was a draw, I don't think anybody probably has believed that David Moyes has stumbled on a new attacking strategy. He went full Bilic in that game, is what happened at the end. He was just chucking on forwards, and you know we had you. I think I can probably safely say that you'll never see a situation again where you've got the players that were the 5 of them, weren't they? 5 attacking players that were on that pitch at the same time. So I don't think we're seeing a new ethos or a new philosophy in that sense. So my point is, I don't think the Burnley game insulates him. I don't think he can. So this game becomes really, really important. So I think if he loses this and he goes out of Europe, whilst I don't think the game is that important to the club, and I mean the club hierarchy, it's important to the fans because we've enjoyed this little jolly up in Europe and all the rest of it. It's not particularly good for his competency, how that's viewed, because we're then on to Aston Villa. And yeah, all right, I know they took a tonkin and all the rest of it, but it's a big stretch for you to think that we're going to beat Aston Villa. So I think, you know, I've almost got to view them as all three. And I don't know, I hate doing that because that's often the narrative that gets trotted out. David Moyes has got X amount of games. There's not the club saying that. It's just me viewing it as 3 games, which is a poor showing against Burnley, considering who they are and where they are in the league. And I think, you know, to go out of that tournament and then if we were then to go on and lose to Villa, I can't see a lot of appetite within the club for him to get a new contract. Because I'll tell you why. I think it would be almost impossible for him to turn it round because he doesn't have the get out of jail free card that he had last season with the Conference League, basically. So he hasn't got that thing to win. He then has to probably finish in the top 7. And I think that'd be a hard task, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would have to finish 8th or above. I think once you're 9th or 10th, you're in that sort of grey area. Anything less than that, I think that would be no contract offer for David Moyes. But I think 8th and above is where he'd have to finish. And it looks difficult. And it looks, regardless of who you support, actually, in those clubs, if you're supporting any of those clubs, if you're a Wolves fan, you might be optimistic. But I think the belief that you can finish in top 8 is probably not quite there. You think we've got a bit of a chance. Brighton, you're probably looking at going, oh, we're not in great form at the minute. Clinging on to that spot's probably not. Newcastle have got 14 points in their last 14 games. They're probably looking at going, oh, we're not going to do it. So naturally, as a fan of your club, you can be quite pessimistic sometimes. I think most fans of those clubs will be looking at it, going, "No, we're not going to be that team that finishes there." But someone's going to do it. And at the minute, if all of us seem capable of chucking points away, especially against each other. I've seen that, you know, there was a statistic going around on social media the other day about how, you know, we dropped 10 points against certain teams at the bottom of the Premier League. But Newcastle, I think it was, Brighton and Newcastle, and actually dropped more points than us, and Newcastle played less games than us. So everybody's capable of dropping points. It's not just West Ham.
Yeah, of course.
And we've still got to play Newcastle after the international break. So could he turn it round? I think he could. Do I think he will? No, probably not. I think we'll finish in the top half of the Premier League. but we're about 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. It's a big drop off, isn't it? It is quite a drastic one, and I think that is what's going to be the deciding factors if he gets that contract offer or not. And this all depends on what you believe regarding David Moyes' contract. My belief is the club just haven't decided yet. They're waiting to see how he performs between, well, all season really. I think at the start of the season decided we'll see how he gets on this season and we'll decide at the end of it. I don't think that's changed. I think at times they probably thought, oh, he's probably going to get one, and at other times he's probably, oh, I don't know about this.
I agree.
I think at the minute they're just undecided and they're just waiting to see how he gets on. And when the reports came out in January time, it was almost expectation was perform well in the league. What that means, don't know. We all have a different understanding of what perform well in the league means. Some people say 7, some will say 8, some will say top 10. But it was also a deep run in European football. That was the other thing that was attached to it through the leaks from the club. I would suggest if you go out in the last 16 to Freiburg, that is not a deep run in European football. If you were to go out in the quarterfinals to Bayer Leverkusen, I would suggest that is a deep run. Or Liverpool, I think you'd go, yeah, okay, fair enough. If you were to get put out by a lesser team in the quarterfinals, maybe not. I think the opposition comes into it. But bear in mind, and this is the pivotal thing for me, if it's Freiburg that put us out in the last 16, I think that will be deemed a failure in terms of our European performance this season. And I think that would heap almighty pressure on him with the league. And I think he would have to get, like I said, top 8, 9th and 10th is a bit of a grey area. I'm undecided. I think he'll get a contract for there. But I think tonight is crucial for David Moyes if he wants a new deal at West Ham.
Well, I think there's a couple of things as well with the pressure tonight. I agree about the extended run in European football. I also don't think we've made any progress since that statement was made. So that statement was sort of trotted out after the group stage. So we're still exactly where we were, which is basically we've played one match since then. So we haven't progressed. We're still in exactly the same round. We're in the last 16. I think it is important as well that it's viewed not just as the last 16, but it's Freiburg. And I think there's two things that you've got to factor in. Number one, that they're not a very good team. And I'm assuming that this is noticed within the club. But that's a hell of an assumption. That's just my assumption. The other thing is, because we're playing them, Freiburg are not in a situation where they can go to Ajax and arguably buy their 2 best players and give Ajax £70 million like West Ham did. There's a lot of clubs. In fact, you could probably argue that even Leverkusen couldn't do that. There are very few clubs left in that competition who could go around chucking money around like West Ham did and then go to Southampton and go, there you go, there's £25 million there. And go to Stuttgart and say, there you go. They probably couldn't even do that. Freiburg quite possibly couldn't have afforded to go and prize Mavropanos for 17 to 20 million or whatever it was from Stuttgart. That plays a big part. So there is pressure on him. He has no excuse for not beating them. And I do think that's going to put extra pressure on him. I really do. And I think if the club are sort of paying close attention to this, because I would want to know that. I would want to know that, okay, we've given you all this money. Why aren't you able to do more with it, sort of thing? But, how much are they bothered? I'm not so sure that they are bothered by European football. I do think it's just us. But I do think you'd have this sort of slow crawl towards getting towards the end of the season. If we went out of Europe, the pressure on him would be on a game-by-game basis. So what you'd get is, let's say we do go out. The pressure on him for the Villa game is huge. And then what's after Villa? Tottenham?
Newcastle.
Right,
quite pivotally, there's an international break, and I think that would be a long fortnight. If we go out tonight and then we lose against Aston Villa, I think that's a long 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that would be monstrous pressure if he hasn't won, then and he doesn't beat Villa and he hasn't won against Burnley and goes out of Europe. That Newcastle game, it'd be monstrous pressure. Absolutely monstrous pressure. So, this is a vital game. This game in many respects insulates him from that. Because if we're still in, we have that hope. There would still be pressure on the Newcastle game, don't get me wrong. But, it's all right. West Ham are still in Europe. Then you'd have everybody popping up on TalkSport and everything else saying, well, what are they worried about? They're in the quarterfinals of the Europa League and they could get through that. And they won a trophy last season. That's what you'd be getting. Lose our next 2 games. And I'll tell you, that will really start to quieten down. They won't be quite as bullish.
Before we talk about tonight's game, do you want to promote that match bingo?
Yeah, listen, you've got to get into match bingo. We haven't got it. I'm just advising you too. It is a brilliant, brilliant app. We have had so many winners. When I was doing the build-up show to the game against Burnley, I said, and I think we've had 8 winners. Somebody popped up in the chat and said, actually, Gonzo, I won on it. There are several different games which you can play on Match Bingo, and a lot of the games are only £2 per play. And what you do is you pay your £2, you basically choose your game, and it gives you a bingo card with a line of stuff that might happen. It might be a throw-in, it might be a goal, it might be a substitution. Basically, you're not choosing your bet. You're giving you the bingo card. The best thing I'm going to say is people are winning at this stuff. The extra good thing is that at least one of these games every full game week is a free-to-play game. So you don't even have to spend any money. We've had people winning a lot of money on this stuff. For the next game coming up for West Ham, which is the West Ham Aston Villa game, it is £2 per play, but the prize pot is over £1,000 and you're getting £500 for a full house. We've had people, Hammers Chat, you lot, we've had people like you lot who have won on this stuff. So the link's in the description below. They're a really, really great company to work with. I don't think we've ever had a sponsor where people have won money like this. Go and check it out. Please do use the link below. They'll know you've come from Hammers Chat. Give it a whirl. 18 years and above, as ever. Bet responsibly, but at £2 a play, you're hopefully not going to empty the holiday fund anyway.
Yeah. So tonight's game then, Gonzo. I'm still nervous. I watched Arsenal knock Porto out in the Champions League on Tuesday, where Declan Rice pooped himself. Have you seen that? There's
What?
Declan Rice pooped himself during the game.
Oh, like Lineker, literally.
Well, he bent over to take. There's a couple of instances, but one instance he took a corner, so he bent over to put the ball down, and he had a skid mark between his cheeks.
Oh no! That'd be a nightmare. That'd be a night. Hopefully he brushed it off. Probably take more than a brush. Probably in his wash. But has he reacted to that?
No, not that I've seen. Anyway, so Declan Rice pooped at the Emirates. Hopefully Moyes doesn't poop it tonight. But do you know when people give their items of clothing away after the game? I bet if anyone with a sign that said Declan can have your shorts, they might have been regretting it.
Oh yeah. You know, when there's always you always get a couple of competitive dads, and there's the person who the garment has been aimed at with the kid, and then there's always some a ruthless parent. There, absolutely. 100% you can have it.
Yeah. Anyway, I watched that game on Tuesday night. Oh, it's got me even more nervous because the golfing class between Arsenal and Porto was quite significant. I think the best team in England and not quite the best team in Portugal. And Arsenal won 1-0, went to pens, and I mean it was a good spectacle. For 1-0, it was thoroughly entertaining. I thought I quite enjoyed watching it actually. But it just got me even more nervous for tonight's game because part of the David Moyes stuff for a minute. Because while I've been talking about it being pivotal to Moyes' chances, I do believe that. But by the time the game comes around tonight, I'm not really going to care about David Moyes' contract. No. I just want to win and go through because I want to be in the quarterfinal draw. I want at least one more night of European football at the London Stadium. And if we're in the quarterfinals, regardless of what happens against Aston Villa, I can go into that international break. And with a little bit of luck in the draw, I can go into international break thinking, we've got a chance. We've got a chance of getting through. And I say a little bit of luck. We need a lot of luck. I'll be praying Karabag knock out Leverkusen, although they're not that bad a side themselves. I'm hoping Leverkusen go out. If not, I'm hoping they draw Liverpool in the quarterfinal. That's what I want to happen. When you win it, you've got it's a small. Do I think we'll win it? No, I do not. But I'm going to allow myself to hope and dream. Of course I am. It's potentially winning a European Cup, and this could be the last time for a few years that we're in this opportunity. So tonight's a huge game for the football club and for us as fans, and I hope that we comfortably dispatch Freiburg. Extra time is not needed. I hope Ajax Villa do go to extra time because any advantage ahead of Sunday would be much welcomed. So yeah, I say I'm excited. I'm not. I'm just really nervous for this one, Gonzo. I think it's because last season when we played the Conference League, I always thought we'd win the competition.
Yes.
So I always believed we'd have the Europa League this season.
Yes.
Well, that belief that we're going to have European football next season currently does not exist. I've got hope, but that's it. It's just hope that we've got it, and it's a bit sad actually that tonight could be the last night.
Yeah, I mean, but there is massive. I just think that is symbolic of the club at the moment. I think there's massive uncertainty. You know, I guess the one certainty we have is that we'll be in the Premier League next season, and there would have been a point where that was good. We'd have taken that, and so I guess that is progress for the club. But I don't want to overspin that because the dynamic has changed now with the Premier League. You know, it's if you've been in the Premier League for a few seasons, you've had this big money to spend, which we all have. Then the separation between the Championship and the Premier League has never been so big. So I don't think that it is a massive boast that you don't get relegated as much as it did anymore. West Ham, you know,
it depends who you are, but yeah, not for West Ham.
West Ham, yeah, £400 million spend, 60,000 seat stadium. No, West Ham should not be thinking, phew. Thank goodness we didn't get relegated there. But there is massive uncertainty. I just think with everything, be it the manager, with the team, the players, which is, you know, obviously spoken.
The ownership.
The owner, yeah,
are up for sale.
The ownership, and yeah, so I guess why should it be any different as to whether we're going to be in Europe next season? The whole club is in a state of flux, and it would be nice maybe one day to have a little bit of stability and just sort of almost know what next season is going to hold. But yeah, big game, mate, big game. I think he can win it though. Let me just say that. I think if he takes a positive mindset, my positive mindset. It's no point thinking positive. I'll pick a positive team. That'll do. Then I think we can get through.
Yeah, I think we can as well. Just got this. Just got a horrible feeling. I really hope I'm wrong. I'll be delighted if I'm wrong, but I've just got this.
Oh, there you go. Right. Well, anyway, you can join at least Gio, possibly myself and Gio, but at least Gio, an hour and 5 minutes before kickoff. Of course, the European game. You'll all know the team. You'll all know what's going on. You can all immediately vent your pleasure or frustrations. Charlie will be doing a watch along. We'll have the poll. We'll have all the normal stuff. So we will catch up with you then. If you go in, enjoy the game. By the way, I must say this just in case, because I've met a lot of people that don't know. The M25 is closing after basically at like midnight or so. The M25 is closing for 3 days. So if you didn't know, you should just be all right. But definitely check your travel arrangements for this game. There you go. That was a bit of a public service broadcast, wasn't it?
It was very kind of you. You don't get that anywhere else.
No, you don't. Well, so for that kindness, stick a thumbs up on the video and subscribe. We'd appreciate that.